Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am so happy to be here. I can't tell you how pleased I am. I've just finished one episode with a British spy called John Fleming. I think he's the new James Bond. And we discussed North Korea, and it was such a fantastic and wonderful conversation. This evening, I have a very special guest. You know, people call me a comedian. Even John Fleming called me a comedian. I am not really a comedian. I'm just a president who addresses people. I don't do sets, I do speeches. Along the way, I have met some lovely comedians. And I would say lovely comedians because, this is a very competitive market. But there are some people who have embraced me. They just accept me for who I am because I've never pretended that I am a comedian. And this particular person I hold very dearly because last year when the BBC and E4 Studios, or whatever they're called, were trying their attempted coup, this man supported me. He came to my show to watch Goodbye, Mr. President with his wife. He was so supportive. And I'm not saying that other comedians were not supportive. They were. But there are some really special human beings out there. People who are not bothered about whether you have a good set. They just treat you just like any other normal human being. The other thing is, I remember, even though I'm going to ask him what happened, we did a video together, and I have been waiting for well over a year to see that video, and it hasn't appeared. I'm not angry in any shape or form, but what he doesn't know, that is the reason why I have invited him to my podcast. If comedians rule the world, and this has been such an exciting journey. And let me tell you why. When the lockdown happened 6 months ago, I have to say to you, because I am someone who delivers speeches all over the place. I was just all over the place. I didn't have any control about what I was going to do next. And the second lockdown, which the civilians call it lockdown, I call it being under house arrest. I knew I had to take the opportunity because I had learned and I had the opportunity to reflect. So my podcast, as you know, is called If Comedians Rule the World, and this is episode 6. And I have someone who I said is very dear to me in terms of friendship. He comes from a country where they have had dictatorship. Berlusconi, I don't think it's Berlusconi, but he will tell me who the dictators were. He's an Italian comic, and he's a fantastic comedian. I think the first time I met him was when we did New Act of the Year 2016. Yes. And he has risen through the ranks. He won So You Think You're Funny, which I am not jealous. I didn't even get So You Think You're Funny, but that is okay. And he's been rising through the ranks ever since. And I am so pleased to have him here. You can see that I have a great affection for him because normally my introduction is not more than 1 minute and I just bring them on. But I have been talking about this individual for so long. What is really disappointing is when you look at his background, it is so plain. It is white. There is no poster of President Obonjo, but at least he hasn't got a poster of an Italian dictator. So give it up for Luca Cupani.
Thank you. Hello to everyone. Thank you, President Obonjo, for having me on your wonderful, wonderful podcast. I'm glad we can meet through the media in these difficult times. But I'm happy.
I thank you for that. I know people say it's difficult times. It's not difficult. We're still alive. We haven't got COVID. We haven't lost an election. Yeah, you are still married. Some people are no longer married.
That's very true.
Some people are no longer married. My 6th wife, believe it or not, I genuinely thought when the lockdown started that I will be divorced from my 6 wives. But they're still very much with me. They still love me. Monday, Saturday, Sunday, we have all sorts. But let's not go into the details of it. How have you been? How have you been coping? Second lockdown, how have you been?
Thank you. I've been coping nicely. I think this is the big thing for our generation, because when I grew up with grandparents and parents telling me about war, how it was bad, and we in Italy we don't have the luxury of some British people who are proud of their grandparents because they fought Nazism, because most of my grandparents, they supported fascism and Nazism. So I cannot even have them as an inspiration. Oh, we don't have the poppy thing in Italy, because it's just, we just skip over that period because it's not that great. But this is the big thing for our generation. We chose a particular, I chose, because you're a president, but comedians, they've chosen a particular craft that requires you to speak in a closed room with people that are actively breathing, and this is somehow gone now. But I'm glad we try to learn new skills, to do something different. I'm trying to write something because, and this is very true, life won't go back to normal anytime month to record 2 short Italian sets for a channel in Italy, and it took me 3 days of self-isolation, 2 COVID swabs to prove that I was clean and not impure, and then I had to, after I did this, I had to go back to London, self-isolate for 14 days. My self-isolation ended on the 6th of November, but the lockdown started on the 5th of November. So I've been in a continuous lockdown for a month and a half. I don't know. It's long, but I'm learning something. I'm trying something, and yes, we did record an interview, and we finished the project. But the channel I was supposed to do the project for, it's now closed. That's Italy. We are looking for new outcome, new outlet. I'm positive we will find. Italy is very complicated. I'm not saying we would need a dictator, because in Italy everyone is a dictator, and that's why the country doesn't work properly.
Okay, good. So it's really interesting that you talk about self-isolation, and it looks like from all the other guests that I've had, you've had the longest self-isolation. So maybe Joe Biden needs to talk to you in terms of self-isolation before he goes into the inauguration, because we know COVID likes elderly people. but that is nice. So you've been doing some writing. I suspect you're still married and still happy. I know you got married recently. He's proven it with his rings. I have 6 wives. I can't put my rings on anywhere.
This is my second ring. I lost the first ring on my first day of honeymoon. We got married on a Saturday. Then on Sunday evening, we went to Corfu in Greece, the beautiful island. First swimming in the sea, and I lost it. The first ring lasted less than 48 hours, maybe 72. And it's just a symbol of eternal love. So it was because I was doing how do you call breaststroke when you swim. I wanted to impress my wife, because it looks that's a tip for those who are listening. If you want to impress your wife or anyone, when you swim in breaststroke with the right light and the right shadow, it looks like if you have muscles, even if you don't. It's just a matter of shadows. So I was doing this, but when I got closer, she asked me, "And where's the ring?" And I thought, the ring is here, and it wasn't there. It was gone in the Greek Sea, and it's still there somehow. So yeah.
So what is really interesting is, as you know, I'm from Africa, and we are very superstitious, and it's quite possible. I don't know if you've heard of there are in Africa, we believe that there are half human beings and half fish. They call them mommy waters. So it's quite possible that you've now got married to a mommy water who lives on the ground. So you're married to a mommy water. If you haven't heard about it, Google it. And a Greek mommy water. Honestly, that is. Really,
are they nice?
They are nice, but they have the ability to make love to you while you're sleeping. So if you are not making love to your wife and someone else is making love to you, that is the Greek mommy water. Honestly, are you having a look at it? You see, mommy waters.
I'm looking, but
It's really fascinating, man. You got married to your wife, but then your ring fell into the sea, and there are mommy waters, half human, half fish, half woman.
Wow. Okay, I'm looking at Oh, it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible. That's so difficult to explain to my wife. But
so you must tell her after this interview, so she knows. Hopefully, it's not a problem. But in some parts of Africa, it is a problem. They come at night to make love to you while you're
It's
asleep.
Mami Wata.
Yeah.
The
You
only
got
thing
it?
in there's a beautiful woman, but she has a couple of snakes around her body, so that's
No. This one is half a body from the bottom up is a fish, and then the rest
okay, like a mermaid, like a
like a
mermaid.
mermaid. Yeah, like a mermaid. Yeah,
Mermaid.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Well, I found out another thing.
Yes,
I
definitely.
got married twice without knowing
Twice.
it, so that's perfect.
That's
That's
right.
perfect.
So let's move on. So
Yeah,
the way the podcast works is that you choose a particular subject, and I ask the comedian because it's really important that it's something that you are comfortable that you want to talk about. So the people I had on my, just to give you an example that I've had on my podcast, someone spoke about immigration because that's what they wanted to talk about. Someone spoke about homelessness, so that's what they wanted to talk about. Someone spoke about the United States, and James Bond spoke about North Korea. So you choose a political subject, and the whole idea is that if you were ruling the world, because there's a view, and it really annoys me, Luca, when they say that the likes of Boris Johnson are comedians or the likes of Donald Trump are comedians. They're not really comedians. These are open mic comedians pretending to be comedians. They're not pro comics like you.
yeah,
So the whole idea is
no,
that if you had your way and you were in charge of the world and you chose a particular subject, and I believe the subject that you want to talk about is about replacing the House of Lords. Yeah.
yeah,
How would you do that? Because I genuinely thought, before I let you start, I genuinely thought, because we know how COVID loves elderly people. When I found out, and there's been talk about abolishing the House of Lords, the Liberal Dems say they wanted to abolish the House of Lords. I genuinely thought that COVID was going to do the job, but it hasn't.
no,
Now, so
no.
Luca, over to you.
Because I had to say I'm trying to become British because I can acquire another passport, and I'm thinking. So I had to study a little bit about the British political system, and there's this thing called when you vote, first past the post. You might be aware of this. So you vote, and then only the first gets the constituency. So what happens is that a lot of people keep voting and losing for all their life. If you are in a constituency where the majority is not from your political side, no matter what happens, you will never get some satisfaction. In other countries, you give the vote in a proportionate way. So if a party gets 40% of votes or 20%, this gets some kind of representation. And they are telling me for years about Brexit and the unelected Brussels bureaucrats. And then I found out that in the House of Lords, there are maybe 700 people and nobody has voted for them. Like nobody. Like they don't need to be, they are ex-athlete, they are former stars, friends of the prime minister, but this feels like a bit medieval, middle age, something like not very modern. So I think, what happens if we just leave these people out? We can do in different places. I would suggest we just organize for them a private trip to Stonehenge to watch the sun rise. We just we trick them out, and when they get out, we just change the lock, the key, and they can never go back. And then we just vote for people how to sit there. That would be nice, so we can have some sort of representation. So let's say if a party wins a constituency, good, they get an MP. But if another party doesn't win anything but still gets millions and millions of votes, its representatives goes to the House of Lords. So we have a kind of a balance. Could be nice. Just an idea, to have something different. I think we can trick them out maybe just by asking them to recreate. If Stonehenge is a bit too difficult, what about we ask the lords to reinterpret the Battle of Hastings, like a sort of historical recreation, so that they can try to defend the coast of Great Britain. That would be nice, beautiful to watch. You can have on BBC like a live commentary, and by the end of the Battle of Hastings, there's no more lords. So we double win.
Okay, so a couple of things, if I've heard you correctly. Let me just start by saying that it's quite offensive for you to ask me whether I understand the voting system, because look at me, look at how I'm dressed. I'm not an advocate of democracy, because I just feel that democracy is a virus. It is a virus, and we need to flatten the curve. It does not work. It does not work. However, what I've heard from you is that these people are friends of the prime minister, and they get they're not elected, they're just nominated to the House of Lords. So that is a bit of corruption, isn't it? Is that what is happening?
I'm waiting for my British passport, so I cannot say anything bad about this great country. But let's say it feels Italian. It feels way too Italian, and this is something we wouldn't normally do. I don't. From my personal experience, if you're doing something that looks too much Italian, then maybe it could be close to corruption. Could be. I'm not saying, because I'm still waiting to get a British passport. So and although if Great Britain was corrupted, it would just make me feel more at home. So I'm fine both ways.
Okay, so your approach to this is, well, but why do you need the House of Lords? You already have the House of the Rich, the House of Commons. Why do you need a second chamber? There is no need for it anyway, is there? Why don't you just increase the number of MPs? Because at the moment they have 650. Why do you need, what's the function of the House of Lords? I can understand that you want to change the way that they are brought into the House of Lords, but what does it do? What do they do? I see most of the time, I see them sleeping. I see
yes, well,
most of the time.
Yeah.
So why
they have nice costumes, and they are entitled to some. They are baron of something, lord of something else. It looks like a cosplayer thing, like a Comic-Con, a political Comic-Con. Let's dress you maybe like if you're a big fan of Game of Thrones, then maybe you want to be a lord.
Yes, it is likely, but I don't know what they do. As far as I understand it, they are former MPs. So this is more like a retirement home for them, almost like a nursing home, where it's just that they get the chance to speak about politics, but they have no power anyway. What is it that they have? What my point is, you want to reform it, but I don't think it needs to exist. I don't actually think democracy needs to exist, because it does not work.
Well, the idea that democracy, it works. Democracy works. It's like, I would say it's like an airplane. It pollutes. It's very noisy. Sometimes it crashes badly, killing hundreds of people. But still, it's a good, way to move from another place to another, from a place to another in a fast way. So it's you can't go to New York in a few hours if you don't accept the risk of having a bit of pollution, a bit of noise, and some deadly crash in between. So most of democracy provided some service. So I would keep them, although I understand it can be annoying. And some democracies are really, really low cost. And that's maybe the problem. I believe, you can have the business class and you have the economy and you have the Ryanair type of democracy, and the Ryanair type of democracy maybe is not the one I would follow. The House of Lords, is not that useful. I think is, to be fair, I don't know. If you think of it, a lot of countries have two chambers in the parliament. I don't know why. Maybe they are like OCD, the men who created the parliament. They wanted to have symmetry. They said, no, I don't like, just one, make it two. There are people like this. You need two bedside table, you need to, so this is maybe the main reason.
Yeah, but I like that analogy about the aeroplane. Where I would disagree with you on is the fact that you said, let's get rid of the Ryanair democracy. But actually, it's the people who fly Ryanair that are being suppressed. It's the people who fly Ryanair that are not getting the benefits of democracy. So why don't you get rid of the Boeing 747 and just use the EasyJet and Ryanair of democracy? Surely that is representative. That's the people power. That is people. For example, the House of Lords, I would abolish it if I was into democracy, and I will replace it with a youth congress. I will replace it with youths so that they have the opportunity to start understanding how they can influence. So it will be like a youth parliament because at the moment, what we have is a situation where we have all these elders all these grown-up people who are making decisions that affect the lives of young people. So why don't you have a situation where you have a youth parliament and you call it, I don't know, House of Youths, and they are the ones who challenge what the House of Commons comes with. I know but that's just my view.
No, yeah, that's we don't even need to call it the youth parliament. We just need to make compulsory to subscribe to this House of Lords via email or put it on the platform like Twitch. So that already cuts a lot of people away from this. They will never be able to do it. So yeah, we can try to make it for digital people who are born in the 20 years ago. No more. Yeah, that's I normally am a very strong advocate for youth, but I'm not young anymore. So the more I get old, the more I quite like old people. But yeah, no, I understand your point. I would, I wouldn't. I like to replace House of Lord with something, but not. Let me think. Let me think about something we could do. We could.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. You want to replace the House of Lords. I don't know how many people sit at the House of Lords. Probably about 400. Is it 400?
I think there are 777, something like that. It's
So
like the number of the beast, but with some number.
How many? How would
Sorry,
you?
I lost you for a second.
No. I thought you were going to say something. So that's 730. You want to replace them. So what? How are you going to get rid of them?
Well, that's right. Let me see how many of them. I'm just checking on the website. I'm trying to do in a live time. How many are there in the House of Lords? Wow, they say total number of sitting members 800.
That's a lot. What
It's
did
a
they
lot.
do? It's a lot.
Yeah, 800. I don't know what they do actually. They have a lot of things to do. Let me see. What does the House of Lords do?
What do they do apart from lodging it? What do they do?
Well, they share the task of making and shaping laws and checking and challenging the work of the government, but they don't get the final say. So, like they say, "Oh, Brexit doesn't quite look right," and then the government says, "Yes, it does," and that's the end of the help from the House of Lords. So, yeah, it's more like they're in the best case scenario, they are moral winners. Like they get the right to say, "Told you so," it was a bad idea. In the worst case scenario, they just do the same as the House of Commons. So no, yeah, we would replace them. Let me think of it. I think we can find a solution.
I'll give you time because it's just your. So how does it work in Italy at the moment? Do they have two chambers? Do they have a House of Lords in Italy?
Oh yes, well, Italy self-harmed itself in a spectacular way because there used to be like almost 1,000 members of parliament in two chambers that had the same power, and then they made a reform that to save money. So they said, let's cut it to 1/3, 2/3. So now we will have next time no more than maybe 600 people. Problem is doesn't really increase democracy because then it means a lot of people choose just one representative. So it doesn't give you enough democracy, and you only save 20 million euros, which is not won't help Italy much. So that wasn't a nice, bright example. Italy is a holding. There was a funny thing when some region is not working, they have a special sort of dictator who can rule without too many restriction because he has to save the situation. So there was a region when they had this special person for health matters, and he didn't know he had to come up with a COVID plan for the region. He found out in an interview. The journalist told him, "You should be in charge of COVID." Said, "Me? Yeah, I don't think so. Let me check the email." And in live interview, he said, "Oh yes, it was me. Oh, okay, I'll quit." So that was that's
Sorry, I'm laughing. That's so funny.
No. COVID has found powerful allies in the Italian, in Italy, involuntary allies. But no, I would say, yeah, Italy is not maybe the best example right now. What we could do is something that bothers me. I know that everyone should be. Well, you agree with me. You're a dictator. Nobody should vote. But the thing is, if you vote, why? How come that you don't get any challenge for you don't, like, if you want to drive a car, you need to be 18 and you need to pass a test. It's not just, hey, I'm 18, give me a car. It doesn't work like that, because with a car you can really bring about a considerable amount of damage to other people. So they want to test you. Theory, practice, it's not that easy. How come that when you have to vote, just because you survived the first 18 years of your life, now you can vote no matter what, and no matter what's your, I think there should be some kind of selection test process just to make sure that your brain is connected to the rest of your body when you go in the electoral booth. It's just an idea. I'm not saying, but
I think. Look, I genuinely think, apart from the fact that I don't think people should be allowed to vote.
There you go.
I genuinely think that it should be a case of you're chosen and your children rule after you die, and just a generation and generation, because that is stability. One of the things that this voting system does is that you make too many changes. I'm sure it's the same in Italy. 1 minute you have the Labour government, they spend 5 years or 10 years, then you change again, you change the leaders. I know the conservatives of the Tories of the nasty party, they have changed leaders over the last 5 years, from Cameron to Thatcher, and not Thatcher, to
Theresa May.
Theresa May, even though they look alike. Theresa May, then to Boris Johnson, and I'm sure from Boris Johnson is going to be Rishi Sunak or whatever his name is. The point I'm trying to make is you need a leader for life. You need someone to die in office. It is continuity. So his policies. Can you imagine Boris Johnson being in power for 40 years? 40 years in power. That would be brilliant for Britain, because it would be constant. Yeah.
I think a lot of people now would be happy with the idea of someone dying in office, because there's a lot of resentment. But I don't think we should have the single, Boris Johnson is a good example. Honestly, tell me if he's not right. He's born in a very wealthy and powerful family, and that's the only reason he's where he is. Because honestly, if he were born in a normal situation, nowadays it would be just roaming outside the Ladbroke with the jumpers with some ketchup on it, and it would be the funny Boris, the funny guy with the funny hair, with funny words and gibberish, and nobody really pays attention to them. Maybe some occasionally you buy them some sandwich from Sainsbury just to make you feel better about yourself and help him a little bit. He would be the poster boy of some charity for homelessness. It wouldn't be where it is, but where he is. But since he's there, that creates some problem. But I just want to stress again that I'm waiting for a British passport. So I love the British government so much.
Yeah, and I know that it's not just the British passport. There's also Priti Patel, who might be watching this, in terms of the Home Secretary, in terms of immigration and everything else.
Well, I'm confident, because someone told me, "Oh, you want to be a citizen? Cannot be." But I found out we have Priti Patel, which is the daughter of immigrants, so I'm sure she loves immigrants. So I think it will be easy peasy, really.
Yes, I hope.
I'm sure she loves that.
I hope you get your British passport. I wish you well, even though I don't think it's worth anything right now, especially with Britain getting out of Europe. It's not worth anything. It's devalued.
Yeah.
No, it is devalued. I know you will defend having, I don't know whether it's a pink passport now or a black passport, but one of the two, you shall be having some kind of passport. But don't you think that in terms of the House of Lords, because even the civilians, the people who are in power, some of them are saying they want to get rid of the House of Lords, but they don't know how. Why are they using debates to decide whether they should get rid of the House of Lords? There should be another way. Is this country not ripe for revolution, for example?
Well, they never had. This country was a republic for 11 years, like really, really, really short time. Like they got changed their mind quite quickly. The House of Lords it feels like very anachronistic. Sometimes it makes look the Vatican City modern. That's another problem. When your politics looks too Italian, and the Vatican City seems somehow more agile because they change their manager quite often, then you think, like to be fair, the cardinals in the Catholic Church, they're not elected
Yeah.
either. The Pope chooses, but he does it because God inspires him. So can I compete with God? No, I cannot. The House of Lords is more just a human thing. So I don't think, maybe in the past, in the Middle Ages, when they wanted to make sure that whether God loved you or not, they put you to some trial. Like I remember, for if a woman was accused of being a witch, they would set her on fire, and then if she burns, yeah, she was a witch. If she
Yes.
survives, God loves her. So that I'm not just saying anything like
No, but
that, but
I also know that from the histories, because I genuinely like to just learn about British politics. I also, you may have heard about this, about Guy Fawkes Knight and the
yeah,
House of
yes.
Commons. And, I'm not suggesting that is what needs to happen in the House of Lords, but yeah, it looks like we're not going to be able to come up with a solution in terms of, because I know what my view is. My view is that we should just get rid of all of it, get rid of the whole House of Commons, House of Lords, stop democracy, because it doesn't work. But your school of thought is either the Ryanair or the Boeing 747, more the Boeing 747 type of democracy, which is corrupt. It's all corrupt. But anyway, it is what it is.
I have another idea. We can get rid them. I have another idea. We could get rid of them by paying them a worldwide tour, like like some kind of in every history ancient museum, there should be a display of lords, so the people can learn what is to be. And I'm the Baroness of this place. Wow! And so school children could come to see the lords. So when like Lemise, they go on tour for months across the world. So we should put the House of Lords in tour, like the United States. Have you ever had fancy having a lord in your state for, like, say 1 month? Pick 10 of our lords and we send them to you. We should outsource lords, and they should rent them out for other countries.
I have another idea. It might be very offensive to you. I don't know. Why don't we just freeze the House of Lords, move the building to a museum, and the almost like Madame Tussauds, as a way of explaining British past and British history. The House of Lords Museum, just freeze them all and put them somewhere in the West End. And that is, the history is learned about their successes and their failures.
That's a nice idea, but I have a better idea even for your wonderful country, Laughter Republic. Because maybe some in your Laughter Republic might want a bit of democracy. So you can tell them, I'll give you a hint of British parliamentarism, and you put them few lords just on tour.
Stop it, Luca. Stop. Don't give them any ideas. Democracy does not work in my country. We have tried it. It has not worked.
No, but just, as a...
They don't need to. If anything, are you there? If anything, what they need is a tour of how democracy does not work, how it has become such. It's really interesting over the last couple of years what's happened. Look at Britain, look at the United States, look at Europe. Yes, collapsed.
I'm sure. Trust me, if you show the Laughter Republic the work of the House of Lords for a couple of months, they will never ask for democracy anymore. You just solve your problem. They say, we don't want. What are these people with those ermines, these things that they have, those funny coats? What are they doing? A baroness, baron? What is this? And then we'll ask.
I show, because there was a time there was some little bit of unrest last year. I showed them videos of Donald Trump and Boris Johnson, and they laugh. They just laugh. They think it's a comedy show. When they see Boris Johnson on TV, Laughter Republicans are always laughing. So I say to them, this is what democracy is about in the West. This is what it looks like. Look, Luca, it's been fantastic. It's pretty late right now. I hope you have enjoyed this.
Yeah.
You there?
Very much. I've really enjoyed it.
Yes, definitely. So
yeah,
we've spoken about the House of Lords. You have revealed that you lost your ring, so you got married to a mermaid. I think that is one that will worry you tonight. I'm sure you're going to do some more research. But on a final note, my friend, if my people, my audiences around the world, from the United States to Italy to Germany to Sri Lanka to Russia, and I'm not bragging, and all these countries where there's been a download and they want to follow you, because I know you are not just, I know you want your British passport, but I know that you travel, even though you self-isolate afterwards, but I've seen you
Yes.
travel all over the place. Where can people find you? Where can people find you, catch you, watch you, hear your voice, apart from my podcast?
They can, thank you very much. They can find me on Instagram, or the name is Luca Cupani. That is L for Lima, uniform, Charlie, Alpha, Charlie, uniform, Papa, Alpha, November, India. That's because I work in a call center for many years, so I know the alphabet, and I work there a lot. And same name in on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, so they can follow me. They can look at some video in English and Italian, and more contents hopefully will be provided soon. Let's see if I'm not lazy and if I work a lot.
Yes, it looks like Luca has frozen a
Have I
little
lost
bit.
you? Okay.
Yeah, there's a little bit of
Oh,
freezing
sorry.
there.
So did you get my? Yeah, I can. How can I say?
Yeah, you froze a little bit, but it's okay. This is what happens. I get this a lot. It's either the FBI or CIA are watching, or the MFI or M6, or the Italian mafia are watching
I
what we are
think
saying.
all of them,
All of them, including Home Office
together,
and everybody,
and the House of Lords.
and the House of Lords. But look, Luca, it has been fantastic. I hope you have enjoyed it.
Yes.
I want to thank all my listeners for listening to this podcast. It's been a brilliant one, even if I say so myself. We have learned a lot about democracy. We have learned about what Luca's vision is for the House of Lords, even though we're not very clear, but we're getting there about what he wants to do. We know that he wants a British passport. So I will, because I am an African, I am going to pray for Luca. I am going to make sure. So if you can all close your eyes and let us pray for Luca. Father Lord, we know that Luca wants a British passport, even though at times when he speaks, it looks like we need some translation. But we hope that he gets his passport and that he can remain in the United Kingdom so that he can practice his comedy. Look out for Luca. And on this note, I would like to end the show. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for my guest, Luca. You have a wonderful night, and greet your two wives, your first wife and your second wife, the mermaid. And have a fantastic evening, folks. We've ended this show. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day, night, weekend, everyone.
Weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.